The massive chamber of the Council Nexus hung in space like a jeweled pendant against the golden glow of Centurion Star. Colonel Sarah Reyes stood at the observation deck of the UEE's Horizon, the first human vessel to reach this far into the galaxy. Her dark eyes reflected the shimmering lights of countless ships docking around the structure, vessels from hundreds of species, all members of the Galactic Council that had maintained order across the stars for over 3 millennia. "It's breathtaking," said Dr. Malcolm Grant, stepping beside her. The chief scientist's lean frame seemed to vibrate with excitement as he adjusted his glasses. 3,000 years of unified galactic civilization. Just imagine the technological marvels we'll witness. Colonel Reyes nodded, but her military training kept her focus sharp. "Remember why we're here, Malcolm. First contact protocol. We observe, we learn, but we don't commit Earth to anything without proper authorization." The communication panel chimed. "Colonel," came the voice of Lieutenant Rodriguez. "The Council representatives are ready to receive our delegation in the Grand Hall." Reyes straightened her uniform. "Time to meet our galactic neighbors." As they navigated the massive station's corridors, both humans marveled at the diversity of life forms. Towering crystalline beings communicated in patterns of light. Methane-breathing creatures in specialized suits waddled alongside serpentine diplomats. Yet despite the variety, Colonel Reyes noticed something peculiar, a certain deference, almost subservience, in how many species interacted with the pale, elongated humanoids that seemed to hold positions of authority. The Grand Hall defied human architectural understanding. Its ceiling arched impossibly high, curving to form what appeared to be a star map of the entire known galaxy. Seated in concentric rings were hundreds of representatives, their attention now turning to the small human delegation. At the center, on an elevated platform, sat a being with translucent skin that revealed a complex circulatory system pulsing with luminescent fluid. The Supreme Leader Mortis, as they would soon learn. "Welcome, representatives of Earth," began Ambassador Lorath, the Council's vice chairman. His voice, translated through their communication devices, sounded almost melodious. "We have observed your civilization's development with great interest. Your achievement of faster-than-light travel has qualified you for formal recognition within our galactic community." Colonel Reyes stepped forward. "On behalf of United Earth, I thank you for this warm reception. We come seeking knowledge, friendship, and peaceful cooperation." Ambassador Lorath's lipless mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Of course, the Council has maintained peace and order throughout the galaxy for over 3,000 years. All member worlds contribute to our collective prosperity." Dr. Grant couldn't contain his curiosity. "The technological achievements represented here are remarkable. We're eager to learn and contribute our own scientific knowledge." "Indeed," Lorath continued. "Now, as is customary, we must discuss the tribute terms." The translation made Colonel Reyes pause. "Tribute. Yes. All civilizations under Council protection contribute resources and services to maintain our galactic infrastructure and defense network." Ambassador Lorath gestured, and a holographic document materialized before them. "The terms for Earth are quite favorable, considering your developing status." As the document expanded, Reyes felt her blood run cold. Earth would submit 40% of its annual rare mineral production. 15% of Earth's population would serve as labor for Council projects. Each individual committed to 12-year terms. Earth's military fleet would be integrated under Council command, with no independent operations permitted. Dr. Grant's excitement vanished. "This isn't a diplomatic agreement," he whispered to Reyes. "It's a demand for vassalage." Colonel Reyes maintained her composure with difficulty. "Ambassador, these terms require careful consideration by our planetary leadership. We weren't authorized to negotiate such extensive commitments." Supreme Leader Mortis spoke for the first time, his voice unexpectedly deep. "Of course. We understand the need for consultation. You have 10 standard cycles to communicate with your leaders and formalize acceptance. And if we find these terms challenging to meet? Reyes asked carefully. The chamber grew noticeably cooler as Mortis answered. All civilizations find the path to council integration beneficial in the long term. Those who resist eventually recognize our wisdom, one way or another. As they departed the Grand Hall, Colonel Reyes could feel the weight of countless alien eyes upon them. The message had been clear. Tribute wasn't optional. It was expected. Back aboard the UES Horizon, Reyes immediately established a secure communication channel to Earth. President Maya Kim's holographic image appeared, her expression shifting from hope to concern as Reyes detailed their encounter. They're not asking for an alliance, Reyes concluded. They're demanding subjugation disguised as membership. President Kim's face hardened. Return to Earth immediately, Colonel. We need to discuss this at the highest level. The journey back to Earth felt interminable, despite the miracle of FTL travel. Colonel Reyes spent most of it in the ship's observatory, gazing at the stars and contemplating the choice humanity now faced. Dr. Grant joined her during one such moment. I've been analyzing the technical data we gathered, he said. Their energy shield technology is far beyond ours. However, he lowered his voice despite their privacy. I noticed something curious about their defensive systems. What did you find? They've optimized everything against energy-based weapons, plasma, laser, particle beams. But there was almost no evidence of kinetic defense systems. Reyes turned to him. You think they might be vulnerable to physical projectiles? It's a theory worth investigating, Grant replied. Perhaps they've been so focused on advanced technology that they've overlooked more primitive approaches. For the first time since leaving the Council Nexus, Colonel Reyes felt a glimmer of hope. Upon their return to Earth, an emergency summit convened at the United Earth Council headquarters in Geneva. President Kim had assembled military leaders, scientists, and diplomats from across the planet. The chamber fell silent as Colonel Reyes finished her report. The holographic display showed the Council's demands in stark detail. This is nothing short of attempted colonization, declared General Nelson, his weathered face grim beneath silver hair. 15% of our population as laborers? That's over 1 billion people. And surrendering control of our military would leave us defenseless, added Admiral Vera Liu, her fingers drumming against the polished table. We'd be completely at their mercy. President Kim stood, her small frame somehow filling the room with authority. Dr. Grant, your assessment of their technology. The scientist stepped forward. Their advancement exceeds ours by centuries in most areas. Energy manipulation, faster than light travel, biological engineering, all vastly superior. However, he activated a new holographic display. Their defensive systems appear specialized against energy weapons. During our observations, I noted minimal kinetic shielding. You're suggesting we could fight them with bullets and missiles? General Nelson scoffed. Not exactly, Grant replied. But perhaps hypervelocity kinetic projectiles, metal slugs accelerated to significant fractions of light speed. Our analysis suggests their energy shields might not be calibrated to stop such weapons. Admiral Liu leaned forward. We've been developing railgun technology for asteroid defense. Could we adapt those systems? Possibly, Grant nodded. And there's more. Their sensor systems are tuned to detect energy signatures. If we could develop methods to mask our ship's heat emissions, we might be able to conduct guerrilla operations. President Kim absorbed this information, her expression grave. Even if these vulnerabilities exist, we're still vastly outnumbered and outgunned. The Council has thousands of years of experience subjugating other species. Then, perhaps we don't fight conventionally, Colonel Reyes suggested. We use what Dr. Grant has discovered. We develop weapons that exploit their weaknesses, tactics they won't expect. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the implications. Finally, President Kim spoke. I need options: military, diplomatic, and scientific. We have 10 days before we must respond. I want contingency plans for every scenario, including open conflict. As the meeting adjourned, Colonel Reyes found herself assigned to a new mission. She would command the UEE's Vengeance, Earth's newest stealth vessel, on a reconnaissance mission to gather more intelligence about Council technology. The preparations began immediately. While Colonel Reyes prepared for her mission, Dr. Grant and Dr. Amina Patel, Earth's leading gravitational physicist, began developing what they called the projectile diverter, a weapon system designed to use celestial bodies' gravity wells to accelerate kinetic projectiles to devastating speeds. At the Lunar Military Academy, Admiral Liu organized intensive training sessions for pilots and crew, focusing on operating in minimal power modes to avoid detection. They practiced new tactics, hiding among asteroid fields, using natural formations as cover, and executing precision hit-and-run attacks. 7 days before the deadline, President Kim addressed the global population. Billions watched as she stood before the United Earth flag, her expression resolute. Citizens of Earth, I speak to you today about the most significant challenge humanity has ever faced. We have made contact with the Galactic Council, an interstellar governing body that has ruled our galaxy for millennia. She paused, her gaze unwavering. The Council has demanded our submission. They expect us to surrender our resources, our people, and our independence in exchange for what they call protection. They want not allies, but subjects. Murmurs spread across viewing centers worldwide. Throughout human history, we have faced those who would subjugate us. We have fought against tyranny in countless forms. Today, we face it among the stars. The President's voice strengthened. I have authorized a diplomatic mission to negotiate for better terms. But I must be clear. Earth will not surrender its sovereignty. We will not consign our children to servitude. We will not relinquish the freedom that generations have fought and died to secure. She took a breath before continuing. We prepare for peace, but we also prepare to defend ourselves if necessary. The path ahead may be difficult, but humanity has always found strength in adversity. Together, we will face this challenge. Together, we will determine our own destiny among the stars. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the planet, volunteers flooded military recruitment centers. Scientists offered their expertise. Industries retooled for potential conflict. While Ambassador Lillian Cho led a diplomatic team to negotiate for extended deadlines, primarily to gather more intelligence, Earth's military and scientific communities worked feverishly on defensive preparations. 3 days before the deadline, the UEE's Vengeance returned from its covert mission. Colonel Reyes brought critical information about Council fleet movements and confirmed Dr. Grant's theories about their defensive vulnerabilities. In a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Earth's leadership gathered for the final briefing. The Council is mobilizing a substantial fleet, Colonel Reyes reported, displaying tactical projections. Over 8,000 vessels are positioning near jump points to our solar system. Their intentions are clear. They expect either our submission or our resistance. And our preparations? President Kim asked. Admiral Liu stepped forward. Operation Asteroid Pass is ready. We've positioned 50 guerrilla vessels throughout the asteroid belt, equipped with the new kinetic projectile launchers. Dr. Patel's nuclear installations are in place within 5 major asteroids, strategically located along likely approach vectors. Dr. Grant added. The photon slug launcher prototypes have been installed on all defending ships. These weapons convert plasma energy into hyper-accelerated metal projectiles, essentially hiding our attack behind what appears to be conventional energy weapons until the moment of impact. President Kim turned to Ambassador Cho. And diplomatically, I have secured a final audience with the Council tomorrow, Cho replied. They've refused any modification to the tribute demands, but the meeting gives us one last opportunity to gauge their resolve. The president stood, looking at each person in turn. Tomorrow, Ambassador Cho will deliver our response, a respectful but firm rejection of their terms. Based on Colonel Reyes's intelligence, we can expect hostile action within hours after that. Her voice softened slightly. I wish there were another way, but we cannot surrender our people to servitude, nor our planet to exploitation. If we must fight for our freedom, then fight we shall. That night, across Earth, families gathered together, aware of the historic crossroads humanity faced. Some prayed. Others celebrated what might be their last peaceful evening. All felt the weight of the coming dawn. Aboard the diplomatic vessel approaching the Council Nexus, Ambassador Cho mentally rehearsed her statement. Colonel Reyes, accompanying her as military attaché, checked the secure channel to Earth's defense forces one final time. The Grand Hall seemed even more imposing than before. Hundreds of alien representatives watched in silence as the human delegation took their place at the center of the chamber. Supreme Leader Mortis addressed them directly. Representatives of Earth, the allotted time for consideration has elapsed. We trust you bring news of your world's acceptance of Council membership and the associated tribute obligations. Ambassador Cho stepped forward, her voice steady. Supreme Leader, honored representatives of the Galactic Council, Earth has carefully considered your proposal for membership and the terms presented. She paused, making eye contact with as many Council members as possible. Earth respects the Council's long history and recognizes the achievements of galactic civilization. However, we cannot accept terms that would require us to surrender our sovereignty, our resources, and the freedom of our people. A murmur rippled through the assembly. We propose instead a truly mutual alliance, one based on respect, equal exchange, and the preservation of each civilization's autonomy. Earth wishes to join the galactic community as partners, not as subjects. Supreme Leader Morta's translucent skin darkened with pulsing blood vessels. Your counterproposal is unprecedented. The Council's terms are not negotiable. They are the foundation upon which 3 millennia of galactic peace have been built. Peace through submission is not true peace, Ambassador Cho replied. Earth declines the current terms and remains open to equal partnership discussions. Mortis rose from his seat, towering over the human delegation. Then, you have chosen conflict. The Council will demonstrate the consequence of such defiance. He gestured to a subordinate. Deploy the correction fleet. Earth will learn as countless others have before them. As they were escorted from the chamber, Colonel Reyes activated her communication device, sending a single coded message to Earth. Horizon falls. Freedom rises. The response from President Kim was immediate. Execute asteroid pass. Within hours, the Council's massive fleet began emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. 8,000 vessels of varying sizes, from nimble fighters to enormous dreadnoughts, advanced toward Earth in perfect formation. Admiral Liu's voice echoed through the command frequencies. All units maintain stealth protocols. Remember your training. Wait for the enemy to enter the kill box. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, 50 human vessels powered down to minimal life support, their heat signatures masked by the surrounding space rocks. Nearby, 5 specially selected asteroids house Dr. Patel's nuclear installations, each positioned to create a devastating chain reaction when activated. Aboard the Vengeance, now her flagship, Colonel Reyes watched the tactical display as the Council fleet approached. They're moving exactly as predicted, she noted. Arrogance makes them predictable. The lead Council vessels entered the asteroid field, navigating confidently through the space rocks, their energy shields glowing faintly as they deflected smaller debris. They're in position, Admiral Liu confirmed from her command center on Luna. Colonel, you have tactical command. Reyes took a deep breath. All units, this is Colonel Reyes. For Earth and Freedom, execute Operation Thunderclap. Throughout the asteroid belt, Human vessels powered up their engines just enough to achieve firing position. The photon slug launchers charged, their muzzles glowing with what appeared to be conventional plasma energy. "First salvo, fire!" The launchers discharged what initially looked like plasma bursts, energy weapons the Council shields were designed to repel. But microseconds after launch, the energy collapsed around hyper-accelerated metal projectiles, now traveling at 0.2 c, 1/5 the speed of light. The Council fleet commanders reacted too late. Their energy shields, calibrated to disperse energy attacks, provided virtually no resistance to the solid projectiles. The first salvo tore through the hulls of 20 Council vessels, including a command cruiser. As confusion spread through the alien fleet, Dr. Patel activated the nuclear installations. 5 asteroids detonated simultaneously, their explosive force multiplied by strategic positioning. The shockwave combined with a devastating spray of superheated rock fragments, ripping through 3 more Council dreadnoughts. Aboard the Elysian Herald, the Council's command vessel, Admiral Lithar was thrown across the bridge as systems failed around him. "Impossible!" he shouted. "Their technology is primitive. How are they penetrating our shields?" The answer came too late, as another kinetic projectile tore through the bridge, exposing it to vacuum. Colonel Reyes's voice remained calm as she coordinated the human counterattack. "All units, execute guerrilla pattern Delta. Strike and relocate. Use the asteroids for cover." The smaller, more maneuverable human vessels darted between asteroids, firing their kinetic weapons before disappearing again into the debris field. Council sensors, designed to track energy emissions, struggled to lock onto the minimal heat signatures of the Earth vessels. Supreme Leader Mortis, watching from the relative safety of a rear command vessel, received increasingly desperate reports from his fleet. "We've lost 30% of our forward elements. Kinetic weapons bypassing shields. Human vessels using asteroid debris as cover. Unable to establish targeting locks." For the first time in his long life, Mortis felt something unfamiliar: doubt. The Council's technological superiority had always ensured victory. Yet these humans, with their primitive but innovative tactics, were decimating his fleet. "Order a tactical retreat," he finally commanded. "Regroup beyond their asteroid field." But the retreat quickly became chaotic. Council vessels, unaccustomed to defeat, collided with asteroids and each other in their haste to escape. Human kinetic projectiles continued to find their marks, disabling engines and weapon systems. By the time the remnants of the Council fleet regrouped at the edge of the solar system, they had lost over 4,500 vessels, more than half their initial force. Supreme Leader Mortis faced an unthinkable decision. Continuing the attack would likely result in the complete destruction of the Correction fleet. Retreating would undermine the Council's authority throughout the galaxy. "We will withdraw," he finally ordered. "But this defiance will not stand. We will return with overwhelming force." As the Council fleet disappeared into hyperspace, celebrations erupted across Earth. The seemingly impossible had happened. Humanity had stood against the mighty Galactic Council and prevailed. In Geneva, President Kim addressed a jubilant global audience. "Today, we have defended our freedom against overwhelming odds. This victory belongs to every human being, to our scientists who found our enemy's weakness, to our military personnel who fought with courage and innovation, and to every citizen who stood united in the face of tyranny." But amid the celebration, Earth's leadership understood that this was only the beginning. The Council would return, and Earth needed allies. In the weeks that followed, an unexpected development shifted the galactic landscape. News of Earth's successful defense spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring other subjugated worlds. Species that had submitted to Council tribute for generations began questioning their arrangement. Colonel Reyes, now promoted to general, led diplomatic missions to several nearby systems. The technical specifications for the projectile diverter weapon were shared with these potential allies, creating a network of resistance against Council domination. 1 year after the Battle of Asteroid Pass, representatives from Earth and 12 formerly subjugated worlds gathered in Geneva to formalize the Solar Union, an alliance dedicated to mutual defense and true cooperation rather than tribute and subjugation. General Reyes, standing beside President Kim at the signing ceremony, watched as delegates from diverse species affixed their signatures or biological equivalents to the founding document. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when we first entered Council space?" President Kim asked quietly. Reyes shook her head. "Never. I was prepared to fight for Earth's freedom. I never expected we'd be fighting for the galaxy's." 2 weeks later, a Council diplomatic vessel entered Earth orbit under a flag of truce. Supreme Leader Mortis himself requested permission to address the United Earth Council. Standing before the assembled human leadership, the Supreme Leader's normally imposing presence seemed diminished. "The Council has existed for 3 millennia, he began. "Throughout that time, we have maintained order through a system that has served the galaxy well. Or, so we believed." He paused, his translucent skin pulsing with emotion. "Recent events have forced us to reconsider certain assumptions. The courage and innovation displayed by Earth, and the resonance it has found among other worlds, suggests that perhaps our approach to galactic governance requires reassessment." President Kim responded carefully. "We welcome this recognition. Earth has never sought conflict with the Council, only the freedom to determine our own destiny." After hours of negotiation, a historic agreement emerged. The Equality Treaty established new principles for interaction between the Council and the Solar Union. Earth would receive observer status within the Council, while maintaining its independence. The tribute system would be gradually reformed, allowing member worlds greater autonomy. In the observation deck of the newly commissioned UESS Freedom, Dr. Grant stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Red lights indicated worlds that had joined the Solar Union or negotiated new terms with the Council. The spread of these lights, symbols of independence and cooperation, gave him profound satisfaction. "Quite a view, isn't it?" General Reyes said, joining him. "Indeed," Grant replied. "When we first encountered the Council, I was in awe of their technological achievements. But I've come to realize that technology alone doesn't determine a civilization's worth. It's the principles they uphold: freedom, dignity, cooperation." Reyes nodded. "The Council had 3,000 years to learn that lesson. We taught it to them in 10 days. As they gazed at the galaxy map, both humans contemplated the future. The Council still possessed vast power and influence. The path ahead would not be easy, but humanity had proven that even the most established order could be challenged when freedom was at stake. Throughout the galaxy, a new era was dawning, one where tribute was being replaced by true partnership, where subjugation gave way to sovereignty. And it had begun with a simple, defiant message from a small blue planet on the galactic frontier. Earth would not submit. Dr. Amina Patel stood in her laboratory beneath the lunar surface, studying the latest data from the Council's technical archives, now shared as part of the Equality Treaty. Her team had made remarkable progress integrating Council shield technology with Earth's kinetic weapon systems. "Doctor," called one of her assistants, "General Reyes is here to see you." Patel looked up from her work, surprised. "Send her in." General Reyes entered, still wearing her formal uniform from the latest Solar Union conference. "Dr. Patel, your new propulsion system prototype is impressive. The Council engineers are still trying to understand how you managed to improve their own designs." Patel smiled modestly. "Sometimes a fresh perspective is all that's needed. Their technology was focused on elegance and efficiency, but sacrificed adaptability. Our approach values flexibility. That seems to be humanity's greatest contribution to galactic science," Reyes observed. "We question assumptions that others have accepted for millennia." The two women walked to the observation window, overlooking the vast crater that now housed Earth's primary research facility. Dozens of vessels from various species were docked nearby, their crews working alongside humans in an unprecedented exchange of knowledge. "Have you heard the latest reports from Kalara Prime?" Reyes asked. Patel nodded. The liberation movement succeeded without bloodshed. The council governor requested transfer, rather than face the population's peaceful resistance. "Another domino falls," Reyes said quietly. "Not through force, but through example." Below them, a group of crystalline beings communicated with human scientists, their bodies flashing with patterns of light as they examined holographic projections of new hybrid technologies. "What happens when the dominoes stop falling?" Patel asked. "The Council still controls vast regions of the galaxy." Reyes considered this. "I believe we're witnessing an evolutionary process. The Council maintained stability for 3 millennia. That's no small achievement. But their system became rigid, exploitative. Now they must adapt or be replaced. By us? By a better system. One that values freedom and cooperation equally. The Solar Union isn't trying to become the new Council. We're trying to create something different. A true partnership of equals." Aboard the Council Nexus, Supreme Leader Mortis faced growing dissent within the ruling body. Many representatives demanded a massive military buildup to crush the Solar Union and restore the tribute system. Others argued for accommodation and reform. The humans have shared their kinetic weapon technology with 17 systems now, argued Ambassador Lorath. A direct confrontation would result in unacceptable losses. "So we surrender 3,000 years of tradition because of one setback," countered Councillor Vex, his crystalline form vibrating with anger. Mortis raised a hand for silence. "We face a choice between evolution and obsolescence. For millennia, we have demanded tribute because we could, because our technological superiority made resistance futile." He activated a holographic display showing the spreading influence of the Solar Union. That advantage no longer exists. The humans have demonstrated that determination and innovation can overcome even our most advanced systems. More importantly, they've shown other worlds that alternatives to our governance are possible. "What are you suggesting?" Vex demanded. "That we learn," Mortis replied simply. "The Council has survived for 3 millennia by maintaining stability. If we wish to survive another 3,000 years, we must adapt to changing circumstances." His gaze swept the chamber, meeting the eyes or sensory organs of each representative. "I propose a gradual transition from tribute to trade, from subjugation to partnership. Not because we are weak, but because we are wise enough to recognize when the cosmos itself demands change." The debate raged for days, but ultimately, pragmatism prevailed. The Council would reform, not because of defeat, but to preserve its essential role in maintaining galactic stability. Back on Earth, President Kim prepared to address the United Nations on the 3rd anniversary of the Battle of Asteroid Pass. The chamber was filled beyond capacity, with delegates from every nation and observers from 24 alien species. 3 years ago, humanity faced a choice between submission and resistance, she began. "We chose to stand for our freedom, not knowing if victory was possible, only knowing that surrender was unacceptable." She gestured to the alien observers. "Today, we stand not alone, but as part of a growing community of free worlds. The Solar Union now encompasses 23 planetary systems, united not by force or tribute, but by shared principles of sovereignty and cooperation." Screens displayed images from across the Solar Union. Human engineers working alongside methane-breathing Kalarans, crystalline Mathani teaching their art to human students, joint scientific expeditions exploring previously uncharted regions. "Our victory was not simply military," the president continued. "It was philosophical. We demonstrated that true strength comes not from domination, but from innovation and determination. We showed that even the most entrenched power can be challenged when its foundations are unjust." She paused, her expression solemn. The path forward remains challenging. The Council still controls vast portions of the galaxy. Old habits of thought and governance do not change overnight, but change has begun. The tribute system is being reformed. Worlds previously subjugated now have a voice. A new balance is emerging, one based on respect rather than fear. As her words echoed through the chamber and across the planet, human and alien alike considered their significance. A small world on the galactic frontier had not only defended its freedom, but had catalyzed a transformation of governance structures that had endured for millennia. On the observation deck of the UESS Freedom, now patrolling the edge of Solar Union space, General Reyes and Dr. Grant watched the President's address via holographic projection. "She doesn't mention the cost," Grant noted quietly. "The lives lost, the sacrifices made." Reyes nodded. "Those who fought remember. Those who survived honor their memory by building something worth their sacrifice." The ship's sensors detected an incoming vessel, a Council diplomatic courier requesting permission to deliver a message. The message was brief, but historic. Supreme Leader Mortis had resigned his position, recommending that the Council transition to a rotating leadership model with representatives from all member systems, including observer status for the Solar Union. "It's really happening," Grant said in wonder. "Systemic change across thousands of worlds." "Change that began with a simple word," Reyes replied. "No. When they demanded tribute, we refused. Everything else followed from that moment of defiance." As the Freedom continued its patrol, Earth rotated below them, a small blue world whose inhabitants had dared to challenge the established order of the cosmos, whose courage had inspired a galaxy, whose defiance had shocked a council that had forgotten the power of freedom and the ingenuity it unleashed. Throughout the galaxy, beings who had known only subjugation for generations looked to the stars with new hope. The age of tribute was ending. The era of partnership had begun. And it had all started with humanity's simple, powerful message: we will not submit. Years later, the story would be told across countless worlds, how a small, seemingly insignificant species had transformed galactic governance, how the Council had demanded tribute from humans, and how humanity's response had shocked the galaxy. Not with superior technology or overwhelming force, but with courage, innovation, and an unbreakable commitment to freedom. The principles that had guided human history for millennia, the yearning for liberty, the refusal to submit to tyranny, the belief that all beings possessed inherent dignity, had proven as powerful among the stars as they had been on Earth. As Dr. Grant had often observed in the educational programs now transmitted throughout the Solar Union, the Council's mistake wasn't underestimating our weapons. It was underestimating our values. Those values now spread across the galaxy, not through conquest or coercion, but through example. The tribute system that had defined galactic civilization for 3,000 years was giving way to a new paradigm. One where cooperation replaced subjugation, where diversity of thought was valued rather than suppressed. In the great chamber of the Reformed Council, where representatives of all worlds now gathered as equals, a simple plaque commemorated the transformation. It bore a quote from President Kim's address following the Battle of Asteroid Pass. "True strength lies not in the ability to demand tribute, but in the courage to defend freedom. Not in the power to subjugate, but in the wisdom to cooperate. Not in the enforcement of uniformity, but in the celebration of diversity." Below these words was an image of Earth, the small, blue world that had changed everything.